Hello everyone, Mr. Stevens here again with another video lesson. This time we're looking at gross pay, net pay, and deductions. Now, this is going to get a little bit confusing because we've used terms pretty similar to these when we were talking about tax, but we're actually talking about a slightly different context here. We're talking about gross pay and net pay now, not in terms of tax and in terms of the government, but in terms of you and the pay that you receive on your payslip in your bank every fortnight. So I think the best way for us to handle this is to just jump into some examples. Okay, so the Laura here has a gross weekly wage of $23.48. So this, when we say gross weekly wage, we mean the total amount of money that she is entitled to as compensation for doing her job. What happens though is that there are some things that can often come out of that pay before you receive it. The main one is income tax. In this country, your employer takes your income tax for you before you even see it and sends it straight to the government on your behalf. This is a bit less of an Australian thing, but health fund payments and superannuation payments technically can also be deducted from your pay. For most people, I think in this country, they just do that when they file their tax return. It doesn't happen automatically. But for the sake of this example, she's also having health fund payments and superannuation come out of her pay. So the amount of pay that she actually receives in her bank account, her net pay, is her gross pay minus all those deductions. And again, the maths we're doing today is not that difficult. You just have to put this line into your calculator and you'll see that her net pay is $1,367.80. Laura's net pay is this amount. Something else you guys are supposed to look at is what a payslip looks like. And this is a fairly typical example of what a payslip looks like. What we're going to do is we're going to just identify some important features of it. So her gross pay is going to be here, but you can also see it here. And this column is an important one that will always be found on a payslip. They actually keep a track of all these amounts for the duration of the financial year. That's what it says when it says year to date. These are the total amounts that Oscar has been paid over the course of this financial year. It looks like this pay he's receiving is only the second one in his year. Okay, his net pay now is at the bottom here. Superannuation and tax you can find here and here. So this lesson should be fairly straightforward. Just got to remember that when we're talking about gross pay and deductions here, we're talking about different things to what we're talking about when we say gross income and tax deductions in the previous lesson. Gross income, gross pay kind of is the same thing in both cases, but when we're talking about deductions here, we're not talking about tax deductions. We're talking about deductions from your pay before you receive it. So here's your questions for today, guys. You can go ahead and get started.